Okay, staying with education, would you as governor sign a budget that reduces local aid for education if that's what it took to balance the budget and avoid a tax hike? Rosa Scarcelli.
Well, we currently are supposed to be funding at 55%, and we haven't gotten much higher than 44%. So we are not doing what we're required to do right now. We need a goal of funding 55%. I think that that's important. We do need to invest in those things we value. But look, we're spending 450% more on education today than we did 30 years ago. And we have 16% fewer students over that same period of time. We have more administrators than we have teachers. We are paying we're paying more money than the national average per student, but our scores are going down. We need to continue consolidation, but I don't believe the one-size-fits-all, uniform approach worked. It was punitive, and we need to be looking at a way to collaborate. There's a really great model out there. The Westbrook school system has collaborated with the city. So the superintendent, Dr. Naiman, and Colleen Hilton, the mayor, have decided to align their CFO, their COO, and their HR person. So they're finding savings and consolidation vertically. Let's look at the bright spots. Let's look at the things that are working, and let's model those. Every community needs a template, but we need to make sure that the state is participating in how the money is spent. Because right now, if we could save $450 million. Right now, if we brought our student-teacher ratio to the national average, and if we had one uniform way of diagnosing for special ed, we have a 500% variance by county between special ed diagnosis. If there's 55% in one county and 5% in another, we have a problem in how we're administering this. There's great opportunity for savings, and the state needs to participate in making sure that communities are following through and giving them all the tools they need to do it.
Steve Rowe.
No, I would not support at present reducing local aid to education. What this is a balloon, and when you squish it here, when you reduce general purpose aid, either you're going to increase property taxes or you're going to lay off teachers. Now, we've been, as you know what's happened over the last few years, we have increased it, but this past couple of years we couldn't. And I believe what's happening and what we know is that, again, local school boards are having to make tough decisions. They're laying off school administrators and teachers. I just want to say one thing about education. It's a system, and early learning begets later learning. And we talk a lot about all the cost of K through 12, and it's expensive. But as Rosa just talked about special education, 17% of our kids in our schools in K through 12 are in special education. 17%. It's costing us over $300 million of general fund money a year. That's about 11% of our state budget. It shouldn't be 17%. A pediatric neurologist will tell you that about 5% of babies are born with some sort of an issue that may cause a learning challenge. What's happening is we're not paying a lot of attention to kids until they arrive at kindergarten screening. We've got to do a better job supporting young families and supporting early care and education. And if we do that, we're going to see the cost of K through 12 go down, and we're not going to see these kids show up at kindergarten screening where, unless there's a picture on a page, they don't know which side is up. Their vocabulary is this narrow, and they don't have social skills. Everybody deserves an opportunity to succeed, and I don't think we're providing that to all children in this state now, and we have to do a better job. We owe it to our young people.
Libby Mitchell.
As Senate President, I did sign a budget that did just that because Maine is in a very, very tough economic time. And to pass a budget with bipartisan support and with the support of Maine people, we brought everybody to the table. Educators, healthcare providers, business people who told us, who were making policy decisions that affected this entire state of Maine, this is a very tough time. We've got to pull together. There has to be shared sacrifice so that we can come out of this recession stronger than when we went into it. So we made those tough decisions. And while we were at it, the state tried to streamline its delivery of services. The schools are working on that as well because we can all do a better job. But was it a thing that we all like doing? Of course not. Nothing is more important than all of us than investing in our children. Even delivery of services to young children in the child development services arena. That mechanism for delivering those services had to be streamlined because not enough of the money was going to the students. That's the debate we have to have. How are we going to build a better education system? And we're talking about the outcomes of the students. How are they coming out of these systems that we're funding? And when we have that discussion, then we can talk about how much money is required. That's the discussion that I will lead.
Pat McGowan.
I would not sign a budget that had a lower percent of it to general purpose aid to education. And I think it's part of what we've been talking about in the long-term look at Maine. And everyone in the state has to be bought in to what we're trying to do. There will be some things that will happen. We will have 10% fewer students in the next decade. We will have opportunities with teacher retirements and administrative consolidation that will make the cost of education lower. The point that Rosa Scarcelli made about the availability of money is partially true. There will be a portion of that is in fact available to spend other places. But when I talk about buy-in, I mean that we get people like Quentin Clark. If you drive down Route 2 and then up Route 27, you will find a superintendent of schools who's converted his schools from oil to wood. And he did that with wood pellets. After 2 years, and he's shortened his supply chain from 7,000 miles to Saudi Arabia to 7 miles to the Strong pellet plant. And he will save the cost of 2 teachers at the end of that time period by investing in a new energy system for a school, and that money will all stay in the state of Maine. We need to look at it differently. We need to get everybody to buy in, and I will be the governor that brings everybody to the table to get through these tough times and to look at the future.